Hello everyone and welcome back to the Purveyor in Fallout 76, where once again we're back to burn through 1,000 scrip on 3-star ranged weapons and see if we can come up with anything interesting to use in some weapon spotlight videos. Today we're going to do that on my heavy gunner character on Xbox. I did recently get another Crusader pistol plan from Daily Ops on this character, so we'll see if we get any of those. But unfortunately, he's not a pistol build, so even if we do, it's not going to be very effective. But that's okay. We'll see what we end up with. It's going to be fun either way. We'll see if Mama Mumbles loves us or wants to make us miserable. And as always, if you like videos like this and you want to see more of them, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. There's always more coming on the channel every week, and I don't want you to miss out. But with that out of the way, let's jump into this and go see what Mama Mumbles has for us today. All right, what do we got for the first roll? Come on, give me something good. Okay, it's a Mutant Slayer's radium rifle with VATS critical shots doing 50% more damage and 25% less VATS AP cost. So the drawback to this weapon, of course, is the main effect. Mutant Slayer's is not the worst of the situational effects. There are numerous scenarios where you might use that, from daily ops to a few different events on the map to just general farming of super mutant locations. Super mutants kind of give you your best bang for your buck for XP, so having a good Mutant Slayer's weapon isn't the worst idea in the world, but a radium rifle probably isn't that weapon. They're going to be immune to the radiation effect, so the fact that it does kind of lower damage and you got to craft and scrap about 10 billion of them to be able to get any mods for it doesn't make it super desirable. With that said, the second and third effects are pretty good. They synergize well together, so your VATS critical shots will do more damage, and you'll be able to do a lot more of them because your VATS AP cost is significantly lower. So in the grand scheme of things, radium rifle, not super desirable. Mutant Slayer's effect, not super desirable, but not bad. But those second and third stars, those are pretty good. If this was like a fixer or a handmade, I could see it being a pretty good roll. Let's move on. And next up, we've got a quad harpoon gun with 33% VATS hit chance and 50 damage resistance while aiming. So the other night on New Year's Eve, I rolled one of these, or at least something very similar to it, on my New Year's Eve live stream. And we took it out and played with it a little bit, and it was actually a good time. So the harpoon gun kind of works like a single shot rifle for a heavy gunner. Your harpoon gun benefits from heavy gunner perks. So I first tried to run with a bloodied one because I got a bloodied and a quad. Didn't love the bloodied one because it did good damage, but you still had to reload every shot, where with the quad, it was pretty effective. So you get stuck in a mob, you still had a few shots you could land before you needed to reload. So that was pretty useful. The VATS hit chance, also not a bad thing. Your heavy gunner, probably not super optimized for VATS. So something like this that's going to boost up your hit chance is going to make you more effective that way. So you're not going to waste a bunch of AP on missed shots, and you're going to be able to land those shots and pretty effectively use a weapon like this. So this is pretty fun. We might take this one for a spin on the weapon spotlight video next week. 50 damage resistance while aiming, not a bad thing to have. On a power armor heavy gunner, it's not going to do a whole lot for you, but it's better than nothing. It's certainly better than bashing damage. So yeah, not a bad roll here. This one's pretty fun. All right, so we got something good. Now it's time for something bad. Yep. Exterminator's ultrasight laser pistol, 25% faster fire rate, and VATS critical meter fills 15% faster. So of all the situational damage effects, Exterminator's, in my opinion, is definitely the least desirable. There's really nothing super useful that you're going to use it for, unless you just happen to go hunting a lot of Mirelurk queens. Then maybe that could be useful, but I just don't think anybody's really doing that. There aren't that many of them on the map. So you're not going to build a character or a weapon around that. 25% faster fire rate is always good. That's a good thing to have. But unfortunately, this just isn't really a weapon you're going to use, so it's kind of wasted here. VATS critical meter filling 15% faster, certainly a good thing to have. But the other drawback to this is it's an ultrasight laser pistol, so it doesn't even do as much damage as a regular laser pistol, unless I believe if you put a prime receiver on it, it will do more damage, but then your ammo cost goes way up, and overall it's just not worth it. So sadly, this one is destined for the Scrip bin because it just doesn't do anything you're going to want to do with it. Sadly, you know, we got 25% faster fire rate. Always love to see that effect, but it's got to go on something more useful than this. Come on, Mama Mumbles, you can do better than this. Let's see what you got. Let's do it, and yeah, not really better. Okay, so Hunters would be the, in my opinion, second worst of the situational legendary damage effects. And I only classify it that way because Hunters does apply to Scorch Beasts, and Scorch Beast hunting, Scorch Beast queen killing. Those are fun and useful things to do. So you might get a little bit of mileage out of a Hunter's weapon. Unfortunately, you're probably not going to get a lot of mileage out of this Hunter's weapon. So 33% VATS hit chance, not a bad thing. You can use VATS even in an area of effect weapon like this. It will still apply to any other enemies that are around, but probably not what you're going to rely on in a huge way. 15% faster reload is definitely useful on a weapon like this, where you're reloading after every shot, so speeding that up is going to increase your overall DPS. But the Hunter's effect, not super duper amazing. Yeah, well, and that's being very polite. Now, where this would be fun is for about 5 seconds, if you go to the Colonel Kelly Monument and you happen to get there when there's like 5,000 radstags running around, this would be fun to bring along for that. You'll kill them all very quickly. The weapon will break in about 13 seconds, but that could be fun, and then you can go turn it in for 40 Scrip, which in my opinion is about all it's worth. Let's see what else we can get. Come on, Mama Mumbles. Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, that quad harpoon gun at the beginning was, we're paying for that now. Berserker's missile launcher with VATS critical shots doing more damage and 25% less VATS AP cost. So, once again, secondary and tertiary effects are pretty good. Those two synergize well together. You can use a weapon like this in VATS. Reducing your VATS AP cost is definitely helpful. But these are really high damage weapons, so I don't know if the damage from the weapon itself isn't doing the job, then that's because it's buggy and weird how explosive damage works. So I don't know that your VATS critical is really going to help you all that much. But those two effects do synergize well together. What doesn't work here is the Berserker's effect. Berserker's requires you basically to be wearing 0 armor, have 0 damage resistance. You can get away with a couple of points without paying for it, but once you have a few points of damage resistance, the damage of the weapon actually decreases pretty dramatically. So are you really going to run around with an explosive launcher weapon and no armor? And the answer to that question is no. You're not going to do that. Maybe you'll do it for 5 seconds, but yeah, after that, well, after 5 seconds, the weapon will be broken anyway, so you won't care. But yeah, that's a whole other issue that they need to deal with. So yeah, explosive launcher weapon, big drawback there because they break in 10 seconds and nobody loves that. But yeah, Berserkers and explosive launchers, probably not an ideal combination. And as heavy as these things are, that says 14 pounds, but I've got a perk on reducing that weight. So yeah, that's a heavy weapon. It's definitely going in the Scrip bin right away. Come on now, you can do better than this. Let's see what we got. Okay, Troubleshooter's Gatling laser with 10% damage while aiming and +1 agility. So, Troubleshooters is a situational effect, and they're not ideal, but of the situational effects, Troubleshooters is probably the most useful. There's a lot of scenarios where you're going to use that effect, where you're going to face robots. You've got events along the map where you're going up against robots. You've got daily ops where you go against robots. You've got missile silos. You've got encrypted. So lots of different things that you can do where that effect will be useful. So it's predictable. There's lots of them. That makes it a not bad effect. It definitely makes it the best of the bunch. 10% damage while aiming. A lot of heavy gunners play in third person, so they're going to aim down sights very easily and get that little bit of extra damage for everything. So there's a big plus. Extra agility. Not super useful on a heavy gun, but it'll help you, give you a little more AP for sprinting or for spotting targets in VATS, so it's not a bad thing to have. Once again, it beats bashing damage, but yeah, so this isn't bad, not amazing, not bad. It's still a Gatling laser, and the damage per shot on a Gatling laser, plus when you factor in how energy weapons calculate their armor penetration, leaves a lot to be desired there. So I'd love to see these effects on a different type of weapon, but overall, not too bad. Not amazing, but not too bad. Probably not good enough for me to hold on to it, but we could do a lot worse, as we saw in the last few rolls. Let's move along. Come on, Mama Mumbles. Oh, okay. An Instigating lever action rifle with VATS critical shots doing more damage and 25% less VATS AP cost. So, a couple of months ago, this would have been probably close to a god roll. Since they nerfed Instigating, it's much less. Instigating now, because it's not multiplicative anymore, it really only doubles, effectively it doubles the base damage of the weapon, which is not very useful. But that aside, the second and third stars on this weapon synergize extremely well together. There are a lot of players out there who are going to run VATS critical rifleman builds, so this is not bad. This is a pretty good roll. Doing extra damage with those VATS critical shots and having less VATS AP cost, that's perfect for a single shot rifle like this, where your VATS cost is a little bit on the higher side to begin with. So that could make this very useful. That Instigating effect, it's going to do a little extra damage for you, so it's not a bad thing to have. But, you know, if you were to treat this like you would a low health build, if you're running at low health with adrenal reaction going, you're going to get a damage boost from that. The way things stack now, I don't know that you're giving up a whole lot. This could be a really good weapon if we look at it from the perspective of just kind of ignoring the Instigating effect and treating it as a little bit of icing on top of the damage cake, if you will, and really treat it more as a double VATS weapon, which could be pretty cool. I might have to check this one out in a future video as well. Let's see what else Mama Mumbles has for us before we wrap this one up. Okay, we've got 3 more to go. A Suppressor's railway rifle with limb damage and VATS critical meter filling 15% faster. So, Suppressor's railway rifle, the Suppressor's effect on this weapon is pretty pointless. If you saw my weapon video on Tuesday with the bloodied railway rifle, you can see how much overkill damage we were doing with that thing. Nothing is living through this weapon for more than a second. So you're suppressing its damage is pretty pointless because it's going to be dead. You're going to suppress its damage by killing it. It will be suppressed by murder. Limb damage, same kind of thing. Yeah, some big tough boss enemies, you might find some usefulness out of that, but by and large, everything's going to be dead before it even notices that you crippled its limb. And last effect, VATS critical meter filling faster. That's useful. If you want to run a railway rifle and you don't have one with any legendary effects at all, then having that 3rd star on there to fill your VATS critical meter faster is a good thing to have. But other than that, good weapon, not a great combo of effects. Let's move along. Next up, we've got a Stalker's combat rifle with exploding bullets and 250 damage resistance while reloading. So, a couple weeks back, did a video with a Stalker's bow. I have off camera tried some other Stalker's weapons since then. I am pretty well convinced that the Stalker's effect simply doesn't work, that it just doesn't do a damn thing. If it does, then what it's doing is imperceptible to me. So maybe on paper somewhere, technically in the game files, it's doing something, but if it is, it's not anything that I'm seeing working in any practical sense. So for all intents and purposes, our primary legendary effect here is nothing. Our secondary legendary effect is bullets exploding for area damage. That's good. If you're running Demolition Expert now, all that damage does stack up pretty well, so that's a nice bonus to have. 250 damage resistance while reloading certainly doesn't hurt. If you are a stealth commando build, you might not have extremely great armor, or you might be working on getting really good armor, so that little bit of damage resistance in those particularly vulnerable moments might be very useful for you. Although once you stack up a set of, say, Secret Service armor or something like that, it's going to have some diminishing returns, but it's not a bad thing to have. Reloading is definitely that's your most vulnerable point with any of these weapons, because you're kind of stuck in that. So a little extra protection there isn't a bad thing. So, Stalkers, basically nothing. Bullets exploding, very good. 250 DR, not bad. Let's see what the last roll of the day is going to be. And it's an anti-armor 50 cal machine gun with VATS hit chance and 90% reduced weight. So, okay, pretty good roll. This weapon, anti-armor on a weapon like this, is very effective because these are bullets that do lower damage per shot in general. So basically, the more armor penetration you can get on those lower damage bullets means you're overcoming more of your enemy's damage resistance. So that's a good thing. VATS hit chance on a heavy gun, not in love with it. If you are one of those people out there who manages to somehow do a VATS-centric heavy gun build, then wonderful. Very good. This could be a fantastic weapon for you, and getting 90% reduced weight on it doesn't hurt either. For me, I'm not a VATS-centric heavy gunner, so not a lot of AP, so that VATS hit chance isn't going to do a lot for me. And all in all, this doesn't stack up past something like the final word that you get just from completing the Beckett quest. That's going to be anti-armor with faster fire rate and damage resistance while reloading. So that's pretty tough to beat, and it's a weapon that's kind of a guaranteed get for anybody. So this one, is it useful? Sure. If I put it in my vending machine for 1,000 caps, somebody's going to grab it pretty quick, and that's what I usually do. But yeah, it's a very good weapon, but it's probably not considered very good because you can get a much better one by just completing some quests. So that's that. Valuable for caps, though. It'll be good for that, and that's one thing we shouldn't forget with some of these legendary rolls, is that even when they're not amazing, you stock your vending machine with those things at reasonable prices, and they fly off the shelf. So that is going to do it for this one. Not the absolute best visit to the Purveyor, but, you know, by the end of it, it was looking a little grim in the middle there, but by the end of it, I'd say this was a pretty productive visit. We did pretty well today. Mama Mumbles was obviously upset with me about something, but I must have done something to make her happy because she gave me some decent stuff in the end. With all that said, that is going to do it for this video today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you enjoyed it, be sure to go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. I do hope to see you next time. Until then, I'm Fisty McRib.